Hey guys, welcome to the second episode of the FlowThatCash podcast. Here we have Charles as our honored guest. Um, so yeah, Charles, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, thanks, Hewitt. We've known each other for little while now, and I'm really happy to be on your podcast. Just briefly, I started in real estate about 22 years ago in Los Angeles. I bought a couple of properties, really not intending to invest. Not intending to become an investor in real estate long term as a career. I just invested because I was interested in having a couple of properties for my retirement. So I bought a couple, I rehabbed them, and I ended up, long story short, I ended up buying about 100 houses from a bank in California in 2000, 2001, and
Wow.
then sold all those in 2006. So buying those 100 houses involved rehabbing them, fixing them up, getting them rented, which was a master class in real estate that I didn't realize I was getting. But after those 4 or 5 years of getting it going, it was, I'd learned a lot about management and about rehab and just all the aspects of real estate that you need to know. And then got married, and my wife and I moved to the East Coast. We moved to Philadelphia, which actually was a market that I was not familiar with. It was my first time going to a new market and just figuring it out. And I did that, I think, fairly successfully. I've still got a number of properties there. In 2008, when everything crashed, I lost money in some investments, but really did very well with the rentals, which taught me a great lesson in the value of holding rentals long-term and how to do that. And lately, I've been focusing on helping other investors and also continuing to build my portfolio, which we can talk about another time. Basically, though, Philadelphia was an awesome market, and it's gotten really red hot in the last few years. But when I went there, it was kind of like what Dr. Phil says, you can't fall off the floor. That's where Philly was. It was pretty much at the low and started to come up almost about when I got there. But it was too cold in Philadelphia for my wife. So we moved down to Florida, and I continued to manage long distance. So within that, within those moves and those different markets, I acquired some pretty significant experience rehabbing, renting, and then, entering a new market without knowing the market well and figuring out where the good deals were, and then figuring out how to manage what I had from a distance, because I am in Florida. I have no problems with management. It's very easy now because I have a system. But at the time, that I was figuring it out, I went through, the usual mistakes you make in running a portfolio from long distance. And now today, there's so many apps and different technologies that it's very, very easy to manage and control what you own from a distance. So in Florida in 2010, I bought 17 houses over a couple years, rehabbed them, sold a bunch of them, and paid off some rentals down here. So I've got kind of a divided portfolio. I've done some wholesaling, but mostly I've done rehabbing to buy and hold and to rent long term, which is what I like to do. So that's kind of my background in a nutshell. And as you know a lot of it. I don't know if you know all of it, but
Yeah,
that's a recap of what I've done.
that's awesome. And but first, how did you get that real estate bug? How did you, first heard about real estate?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. Most of us have some experience either as renters or our parents bought a house. Some of us, if we're lucky, have an aunt or an uncle or somebody in the family that had a rental or two or more. In my case, it was my grandmother who had some rentals, and I was a kid. I didn't really care much about real estate then, but it kind of stayed with me. We'd go and collect the rent together, and at that time, you had to go and get cash on the
Yeah,
first. So
yeah,
we'd go through all that, and I didn't learn a lot because I was a kid, but it was in my background, and I think that's a big barrier sometimes for a lot of people is just not having experience in their world. Just to see how easy it is. Real estate investing is not difficult, but it's specific. So, that's like a lot of things, but if you know and you have some experience and some background, it's not that difficult. And, I've had mentors over the years that have helped show me, how easy it was. And I'm big on mentoring it's the right person and the right student. Some of the mentors I had didn't know that they were my mentors. I just reached out and became friends with them and picked their brains and got to know them and figured out what they were doing. And so that it helps to have someone in your orbit that has at least some amount of experience or interest in real estate. And that was the case for me. But that's a great question.
That's awesome. Awesome too. Yeah, mentoring is very important. Investing in yourself, because that's I heard that brings the greatest return. So yeah, in this short episode, I like to ask our guests to teach the FTC family something in 5 minutes or less. Any past lessons that they have learned, and just share some past mistakes, anything. So the stage is yours, Charles.
Well, thanks. Yeah. So I gave some thought to your question, Hewitt, when you asked me to be on the podcast. And I think I thought about kind of 3 top mistakes that I either made or avoided making because I had good people to guide me. So it depends. Both situations were true. I think the first thing is that you can wait too long to get started. So you don't have to make a deal tomorrow, but today you should start looking at properties, learning how to evaluate properties. You should make a decision for yourself as to whether or not you want to flip properties or you want to buy and hold. Like, what kind of investor do you want to be? And you don't have to limit it to just one area, but you should know what your interest is and what you want to kind of specialize in. And then you should get started. You can do a lot of research now. There's tons of information and tools available. There's all the mentors and all the teachers you could ever need are on YouTube. There's nothing like that one-on-one when you have a specific deal, but when you're just getting started, you can learn a lot from the different resources that are available for free. That's what I did back in the day. Instead of going on YouTube, I went to Barnes and Noble and sat on the comfy couches they used to have and read all the books for free. And a lot of those books were by authors that were speaking at different seminars. And so I would, or they were at different events in Los Angeles, which is where I was. And I'd just go to the event and introduce myself. And some of them I became friends with and got to know. So that's the first thing, is avoid doing nothing. A lot of people want to get everything perfect before they start, and nothing will ever be perfect even after you start. So just roll with it and get started. So that's the number 1 mistake. I think the number 2 mistake, and I made this mistake, I'd say the first 10 years, I was trying to buy houses instead of build wealth. Now, you can build wealth by buying houses, but you're not necessarily building wealth by buying houses. You have to know the difference. Anybody can go out tomorrow and buy a house, but is it a good investment? How do you know it's a good investment? A lot depends on what your goals are. A lot depends on your background. A doctor who buys a house that cash flows, maybe at a break even or maybe a slight loss and gets a tax write-off, that might be a good investment for that person. Somebody who's just out of college, who's not making any money, who buys a house that doesn't cash flow is screwed. So it just depends on who you are and what your goals are. And so that's really important, is to really focus on how you want to build wealth. And that is a mistake that even as a successful property buyer and owner that I made until about 10 years ago. And I didn't have all the tools to build wealth. I thought I did. I thought I knew everything. But it turned out that there were some areas of knowledge that were missing. Because real estate investing, like a lot of things, it's kind of like climbing a mountain. You climb the mountain and you think you've reached the top, and you get to that point where you think, okay, I've arrived. And then the clouds clear and you realize that there's more mountain to climb. And then you go up a little bit more, and then the clouds clear again. And that's actually what I love about it. So I would say, focus on building wealth, not just on buying properties. That's the number 2 mistake that I see people make. And I would say the third mistake, and this is a really important one, is everybody says, whenever I talk to new investors, I don't have any money. I don't have enough money to start. And that is absolutely the wrong way to look at it, in my opinion, because if you can find a great deal, you will never have a problem finding the money for it. That's been my experience in 22 some odd years. Whenever there's been a great deal, I've never had a problem getting the capital. Because other investors that have money will see that it's a great deal and will jump in with you. Now, you might have to give up a little more or a little less, depending on your experience level. But I'd say, 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing. So If you
Yeah.
find a good deal, now, as part of your research, going back to topic number one of get started, you want to have some idea of who you're going to call when you get a great deal. I'm investing now, not just buying, but I'm also, doing some lending. And so I have a group of people that can call me and say, hey, are you interested in this deal? And if I'm interested, then I've either got the money myself or I know other people that have it.
Yeah.
So I can place the property. I can get the money for the person if it's a good deal. So
Yeah.
those are my three ideas about, it's kind of a, very short, very short introduction to those topics. There's a lot more to them, but I would say, get started, start educating yourself. There's a lot of free information. And part of that is get a good mentor or a few good mentors, and they don't even have to be know that you're mentors. I think you get what you pay for, but you can also get a lot for free.
Yeah.
This, build wealth, not just build a portfolio of houses. And don't believe that you need a ton of money to get started. You can get started right today. You can start making money in real estate. It's not that difficult. If I can do it, believe me, anybody can do it.
Gotcha. Well,
so those are my three.
Okay, so basically the first one is get started. Second, get a mentor. Do you take on any mentees at the moment, Charles?
I do it selectively. I found I had, based on my involvement with different real estate clubs and investing clubs, I had people that asked, and I really want to choose people that are going to be successful. For me, it's not so much about the money. What gets me excited is to see somebody build a career in real estate. Yeah. So I kind of talk to people individually, and if I feel like I can help them and they're a good fit for what I know, then yes. But normally I'm pretty selective, but lately I've been helping more investors that have kind of gotten started and they have a portfolio, but it's kind of not in the shape they want it to be in. Because I've been there, and I had to sort things out, and you got to trim the herd sometimes. It's a long cattle drive, and if you're hungry, you got to kill a couple to eat. So you got to know how to do that and how to shape things up so you come out with something at the end. You don't want to eat all the cattle before you get to market.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Well, I guess if anyone's that's interested and to hearing more about potentially kind of working with Charles, let me know. Send me a DM, and then we'll go forward and see if we're a good fit. I know that Charles is pretty selective, and he shared with me as well a couple of times. So do something about it. Have a mentor. The third one is what was it again?
Well, the first one is to get started.
Yeah,
really.
Started. Yeah.
Educating yourself, and if you're doing the right education, that you'll find the deals soon when you're ready. The second one is to build wealth, not just focus on building wealth, not just on buying properties.
Yeah.
And the third one is don't believe the myth that you need a lot of money to get started in real estate.
Gotcha. That's true, because there's so much money out there. As long as it's good deal, money will be found.
Yeah.
Okay.
I specialize in creative financing. I through circumstances, in my situation, I had to learn to use a lot of creative financing. I don't like the word creative financing because it sounds like, you're trying to pull something over, but I found deals where it benefits the seller and it benefits me. They're not zero cash deals, but they're low cash and they're creative. And that's been really helpful to me, because as I'm lending and money is going in and out, no matter how much you have, you never have enough cash. You always need more capital. You'll find bigger deals and you need more cash. So having the tools to figure out the deal without a lot of cash is a good way to go.
Okay.
We can talk. I can come back and we can talk about lease options and trusts, and I got a lot of stuff I can share with you if you're interested.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much, Charles, for being on air, and I hope you guys enjoy this episode and find it valuable. Please let me know in the comment, and let's send me a DM as well, and I'd like to hear your feedback and what more things that you would like to learn, so that I can bring on new experts like Charles in and really share their value and thoughts with you guys. And I appreciate your time, Charles. Always. Thank you.
Pleasure, Hewitt. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Bye.
Mhm.